Hey folks, Nathan here from Star Wars Beyond the Films, the Star Wars Timeline Gold and such, and of course, more importantly in the case of this, from the Star Wars home video library. I wanted to sort of address a couple of things here real quick. This is not an official video in that series, but I'll just tack it on to the playlist perhaps at the end. It is March of 2016 right now. We got about 3 weeks before the release of The Force Awakens on home video, when I'll be picking them up multiple times and taking that digital code and finally getting the digital copy as well. I think by the time all is said and done, I think I will have 6 copies, I guess, plus all the digital copies. Good Lord, of The Force Awakens. But I want to answer a couple of questions that have come up from viewers of that series. First question was just to see what the state is of my home video library at this point, now that I finally have, from a full movie standpoint, all of the US VHS, Betamax, CED, Laserdisc, DVD, Blu-ray releases, all the different 8mm reels and so forth. Pardon me for knocking something down on the table here. Let's see how well my tripod handles this. This is basically what it looks like now. This is basically a bookshelf that you can just buy at Target and such. Got some Legos up on top now. The Special Forces TIE Fighter, the Millennium Falcon from The Force Awakens, and Poe's X-Wing. And then basically the way I've got them organized is I start with Blu-ray, then DVD, then go to VHS, then go to Betamax, and then 8mm for the films, and then move into Ewoks, Droids, Ewok telemovies, then Ewoks and Droids, then Clone Wars microseries, Clone Wars, and Rebels. With the exception of Laserdiscs and CEDs that are so freaking big, I stick them on the bottom shelf. So, up here, I basically go full sets, and then smaller sets, and then individual films in that format, and then I keep going as I move along. You notice some of these stick out a little bit more. That's because if there's a year that has a release that's basically like there's a full screen and widescreen, for instance, I've got those lined up to save space. So for instance, here's the 2004 DVD set in widescreen. Behind it is full screen. There's that Navajo one right next to it. Same thing here. This is that 10 for 2006. So behind it is the full screen ones because only the widescreen ones came in the 10, and so on and so on. So basically at this point, the bookshelves handle all of it. A lot of box sets there. Then down to the rest of VHS, then Betamax, 8mm, that then brings it into Ewoks, telemovies, and then Ewoks, and a tiny bit of Droids. Droids, Clone Wars microseries, Clone Wars itself, and then get to the point where Clone Wars kind of stops mid-DVD, and that then carries over onto this smaller shelf over here. It goes into Rebels. Those are those little movie viewer cartridges there, plus the PVDs. Then Lego Star Wars. Then there's not really any rhyme or reason to everything else that's on here. I just kind of clump it together. So Making of Star Wars, from Star Wars to Jedi, The Making of a Saga, Empire Dreams screener, and stuff that I won't be covering on the show because I'm not big on parody stuff like Family Guy and whatnot. All the way down to even including Willow and some fan films down there. Now the bottom shelf over here, those are the things that are just too freaking big to fit anywhere else. So you got CEDs sort of crammed in there on the left, then the box sets from newest to oldest of Laserdiscs, then the rest of the Laserdiscs that I have, and then those 3 next to it, pardon my jiggling, that sounds vaguely sexual. You've got the 3 boxed games there that I covered on the show that each have either a VHS or a DVD to go with it. So basically, I mean, at this point, it's a bookshelf and a small little DVD tower worth, pretty much. The library of books and such in the other room is about 4 towers, about yay big, about half width of this, plus 2 that are this size, one of which is not yet full. And then all my comics are in a bunch of comic long boxes for those, so there's not really anything cool to look at with the comics or anything like that. The question, though, that I also have gotten is, hey, where did you get all this stuff? How did you compile this collection? This seems like a whole lot of stuff. And yeah, it is. But this isn't really a hobby that's particularly well-traveled by Star Wars fans, so to speak. So it's a little bit easier to find these things in, say, the rarest of the toys or the comics and whatnot. I started the show in, 2013-ish, give or take? So since then, as new stuff has come out, I've bought it every time something new came out. So, for instance, if I want to look up there on that upper shelf, like that far left, the 2015 Complete Saga set, the 2013 combo packs, the Steelbook editions, all those I just bought as they were coming out. No big deal. Same thing with the Navajo edition of A New Hope that's in there and that sort of thing. Then when it comes to Clone Wars, when I started buying all of them, DVD and Blu-ray, all the different ones, of course I had to start when it really sucked. So for those, the first ones that I picked up once the series started, really, I think, were Season 5 and that big box set of Seasons 1 through 5. And after that, I picked them up as they came through, like Lost Missions, and of course Rebels has been coming out since after I already started from the Star Wars Home Video Library, so I just pick up all those just like I'm doing with The Force Awakens. Most of this stuff I didn't necessarily own that much of prior to starting the collection. Like with Clone Wars, I bought the Blu-ray sets, but I just bought the one Blu-ray set. Like I didn't repurchase the Blu-ray set initially of Season 1 or 2 when they put them in the slim cases. I just got the Blu-ray set for Season 1, Blu-ray set for Season 2, figured I had the best available, and that was it. Same thing with 3, 4, until 5 finally came around. And in a sense, it was that way with the other stuff, too. Like on that top shelf, right, with all the DVDs and whatnot. I guess I could just run down the line and point out what I had actually before I started the show. I had the Complete Saga, didn't care about these individual trilogy sets because it was already in here. I had the widescreen individual releases, the 2006 widescreen set, but not full screen, nothing from 2005, 2004 widescreen, but not full screen. I had the VCDs before that. I had the Phantom Menace widescreen here and full screen, but not the Toys R Us one. I did have the VHS of Attack of the Clones, not the UK Revenge of the Sith one. Right, so on that top shelf, some, but not a lot. Next shelf here, none of those, not that. I did have both of the full screen and widescreen sets of the special edition that weren't the collector's set. I had the top loading THX widescreen set, but not the side loading. I had the little cube full screen set. I had the widescreen set from '92. I had not the set from 1990, but the 1992 full screen set there. And I mean, really, from that standpoint, there's not a whole lot beyond that. I did have the Ewoks telemovie stuff, all 3 of those, and these 2 of Ewoks and the equivalent ones for droids, and the Clone Wars micro series. But then that's pretty much it. I didn't have any Laserdiscs prior to starting this collection back about 3 years ago. And of the stuff over here, those are the players for the PVD and a movie viewer on top there, by the way. I had some of this stuff, but for instance, I mean, I had the Lego Star Wars stuff. I got that as it was coming out. Phineas and Ferb also. A lot of these little odds and ends items, but some things like the really, really old From Star Wars to Jedi's, those were things that I got later. PVDs were things that I got later. And I'll tell you, broadly speaking, where I got all this stuff once I started the collection. Okay? So I've told you what I had before. Let me scoot over here, tilt it down. You see that Star Wars Trilogy Laserdisc set on the far left, right there next to the CEDs? That was a gift from a friend who knew I was starting to collect them. Pull up. Far, far right, Revenge of the Sith from the UK. Gift donated to the show, donated to the library, so to speak, from a viewer from the Star Wars Home Video Library. Everything else that either wasn't new, so it wasn't something that I bought just as it came out starting in about 2013, or wasn't one of the things that I pointed out before as things I owned prior to starting this as a collection, Oh, and I guess I should say I did have the trilogy set of the CEDs prior to starting the collection, and the Saga edition and interactive board game, but not the limited edition tin version of Trivial Pursuit. Everything else, eBay, eBay. I mean, we're talking tons and tons of instances of searching eBay, finding stuff, waiting to see if I could find one at a decent price, a price that I could handle, keeping an eye on auctions up until that last minute to make sure that I was hopefully going to be able to get whatever it was. You'll find actually that eBay is a good place to find this stuff because there's a lot of people unloading it at this point because a lot of people don't still have players they would play these on for the older versions, and it's not as big a hobby as toy collecting, comic collecting, book collecting, and such. So it's actually possible to get these at decent prices. Some of them are going to be an arm and a leg, like the 2008 Classic Trilogy set on DVD. But by and large, it's a lot easier to collect this, especially for US releases, than it is a lot of other things. So to me, it was absolutely worth getting into. I have had a lot of fun doing it, and I plan to continue adding it and doing more episodes of From the Star Wars Home Video Library. Just know that this is something that you could do too. You would just have to have the patience and the wherewithal to hunt these down on places like eBay or secondhand sellers on places like Amazon. So that's the state of the collection right now. That's how I got the stuff. It's no miracle. I'm not wealthy, God, by any means. I'm a teacher. It's just setting aside a little bit of money each month and keeping an eye on eBay. That's pretty much all that it was. Thanks for your interest in From the Star Wars Home Video Library. I hope this answered some of your questions, and may the Force be with you.